Chapter 2, the fifth column. In the Book of Life, known as the Akashic Chronicle, the truth was laid bare, screaming from the pages, that everything we held dear, everything we believed in our heart of hearts, was a lie. Azazel stood there, a lanky scarecrow of a man, with eyes like dead stars, cold, distant, and flickering with a light that had gone out 1 billion years ago. His hair, a long, straight curtain of blonde-parted dead center, hung like corn silk around a face that had seen too many midnights. He was a sin-eater, a cosmic garbage disposal for human agony, taking the psychic weight of the world onto his own narrow shoulders. He held the disc aloft. It wasn't a holy relic, not even close. It was just a piece of high-octane technology, maybe a hair bigger than an old 45 record. But when it hummed to life, it projected a swirl of raw, buzzing energy that coalesced in the air between us. It churned with a sick, oily rhythm, looking for all the world like dirty bathwater, spiraling down the drain of a cheap motel sink. Then the show began. Holographic images, sharp and clear as a winter morning, began to appear. Past events, present horrors, everything laid out in a parade of sickening truth. I wasn't the only one who felt that cold, slippery doubt about the Father's motives. You could see it in the others' faces, that look that says the world's gone upside down, and maybe always was. The Yaldabaoth didn't create the universe. The universe wasn't even created, not in the way the preachers pounded into us. He'd just fooled us. The lying sack of scum fooled us good into thinking his fancy-pants advanced technology meant he'd existed before the Big Bang. A real Genesis man. That was the biggest lie of all. The universe didn't have a starting gun. It's always been in a state of being created, always spinning and churning and becoming. The cycle of life had been going on for eons, long before that bloated tyrant ever drew breath. He was just born, same as the rest of us sorry sinners. I was shocked, stunned, pole-axed by what I saw. This was a nightmare of sorts, vicious, lucid, and sharp as a razor on a hot day. The anger, a hot, black thing in my guts, burned me the most. The anger of a man who's been played for a fool. What came next just about blew the top of my head off, crashing down everything I thought I knew of reality. Everything I thought made sense in a world that never did. My whole life, a lie. Everything I believed, gone to dust and ashes. I didn't know how to process it. My view of reality came crashing down, like a house of cards in a windstorm. My eyes and mouth froze open, gaping like a hooked fish, as I stared at the horrible of horrors, being beamed out by that merciless projection. In the dim shadows of this underworld, the machinations of Yaldabaoth remain shrouded in darkness, a labyrinth of deception, designed to keep us ignorant of the truth lurking just beneath the surface. The Book of Life, a silent witness to the eons, meticulously chronicled every heartbeat, every whispered secret since the dawn of time, under the vigilant gaze of Metatron, the celestial scribe of divine justice. But in a twist of fate, Azazel, a renegade angel, had unearthed forbidden knowledge hidden within the Akashic records, elusive secrets that threatened to upend the very foundation of our existence. And at the helm of this cosmic charade stood Yahweh, the enigmatic father figure, whose iron-fisted rule mirrored the tyranny of historical despots, In his domain, no shred of autonomy existed, not even the sanctuary of our own thoughts, all bound by the suffocating grip of his authority. Yet, as the veils of deception began to unravel, it became clear that the facade of divinity maintained by Father was nothing more than a web of lies, woven to ensnare us in perpetual servitude. Born into existence like the rest of us, his claims of omnipotence were laid bare, a feeble attempt to cloak his mortal origins in the garb of godhood. The twisted logic of this oppressive regime knew no bounds, preaching against the very acts it perpetrated with impunity. The sanctity of life, a sacrosanct principle in our society, was forsaken when it came to the shedding of angelic blood, a paradoxical decree justified by the self-appointed deity as the creator of all. And in this realm of dark revelations, the true nature of our existence lay exposed, a testament to the insidious designs of those who sought to control us at any cost. He even convinced all of us that it was okay to murder, just so long as it was in doing his bidding. The Akashic Chronicle also allowed me to see what goes on from the human perspective. I watched humans severe suffering on many planets that were far better off before we brutally colonized their worlds. These humans didn't seem all that much different from us. They were, indeed, self-aware. They seemed to love and respect one another, even outside of their closest circles. They were able to care for the sick and aid the dying, showed compassion towards animals, and later on in their development, even started to care about their environment, of the planet on which they lived. But despite of all these good qualities, they seemed so conflicted. They didn't seem to know what it was they really wanted, nor what their purpose for existence was. It appeared the moral system they had fueled their confused feelings of right and wrong. We angels don't have this conflict. We just do what we are told we are supposed to do, without question. We go after what we want, without inconsistent feelings about them. Do I have regret for anything I did? No. Honestly, I do not. I did what I believed was right, by following Father's orders. We were also more technologically advanced than the humans were. One question I ask myself, after what I saw in the Akashic records, is, do these humans deserve the freedom to learn on their own? Don't we all deserve this, than to instead blindly follow a dictator? As a good soldier, following orders was the right thing to do, and I didn't even know what freedom felt like. I thought I was free. Now I'm just so angry that I had been lied to. I wanted to strike back, because our Father is a liar. Sighs after seeing so much of this in the Akashic Chronicle. I realized I would never be the same again, and I didn't know what to do. We were living in absolute authoritarianism. I felt like I could never be good enough. I was just an angel, and not nearly as powerful as many of the other higher angels were. We were taught, led to believe, that no one could ever be as good as Father. He seemed to always be right. Every one of us was convinced that he was God. From all I knew, the ultimatum was to obey or to die. Despite his lies, he took care of us, providing everything for us in our utopia. In hindsight, one may even ask, was it really a utopia or a dystopia?
Any questions?
Asked Azazel.
Yes. What can we do about this? He could kill us all. Is there only the three of us that knows the truth?
I asked, dazed.
We are not the only ones.
Satriel stated. We are not. Then where is everyone else? I asked, wondering how many there were.
We cannot have all of us meeting without Father noticing.
Azazel pointed out. So, how many know the truth? I asked.
There are several. We are still gathering in numbers. We are part of the fifth column, a clandestine group whose plan is to undermine and expose our father as the liar he is.
Azazel expressed. Fifth column. How are we going to do that? There are too many angels, and Father himself will smite us all, I said, worrying aloud.
Lucifer suggested that when we have enough members, we can try a peaceful protest.
Azazel informed.
Lucifer? Who is that? What kind of name is that for an angel? I never heard of him.
I mocked.
It doesn't matter right now who Lucifer is, but in time, you may meet him.
Azazel made clear. Okay, so this is a code name he uses, and not his real name, I guessed.
Exactly.
Azazel assured.
You can join us if you like.
He added, expectantly, determined. I think I will. I agreed. I knew we had to be very careful. Whoever this Lucifer was, I hoped he knew what he was doing. There was still Michael and Samael to worry about, on top of worrying about Father. Those two archangels were the most powerful and Father's favorites. This project was to remain secret until there were enough of us to protest. We returned to our mundane existence in the gilded confines of the Golden City, feigning loyalty, as if the recent shocking disclosure had never occurred. Within the grandeur of the royal palace, the heavenly chorus of angels continued their melodious praises and reverent prostrations before the tyrant Yaldabaoth, a sight that turned my stomach. To avoid drawing attention, I dutifully mimicked the actions of my celestial brethren, bowing in obeisance. However, with each act of bending a knee, a newfound awareness crept over me, revealing the smug and haughty demeanor of the being, perched imperiously upon his throne. It dawned on me that I had grown impervious to his deceptive glory, a euphoric facade woven by Yahweh to subjugate and unify us under his thrall. This insidious manipulation, possibly telepathic in nature, emanated from the naked form of Yahweh within a sanctified chamber, projecting an illusion of divine benevolence and protection into our susceptible minds. The intoxicating effects of the glory were further amplified by the soothing words of Yaldabaoth, instilling a false sense of security and unwavering devotion among his angelic subjects. This artificial bliss served to numb our emotions, fostering a dangerous dependency on the false god for our very happiness and purpose, even to the point of sacrificing ourselves without hesitation. I refused to accord Father the reverence of a capital letter, nor the title of God, when he was anything but divine. The glory, I realized, was akin to a potent drug peddled by Yahweh to ensnare and control us, reducing his followers to mere addicts chasing the next fleeting high. As I stood apart, unaffected by the illusory rapture, I beheld my fellow angels enraptured in his charade, oblivious to the truth of our enslavement. A flicker of suspicion from Samael, the right hand of Yahweh and arbiter of divine justice, sent a tremor of unease through me. I maintained a facade of composure, hoping to evade his scrutiny, yet the weight of potential treason hung heavy in the air. Samael, embodying the severity and wrath of the deity, stood as the celestial instrument of Yahweh's judgment, scrutinizing the loyalty of his followers and exacting retribution upon those deemed disloyal. The stakes were high, and I found myself teetering on the edge of rebellion, unsure of where my allegiance truly lay. Amidst the suffocating haze of the Yaldabaoth's manufactured glory, the old man sent us from world to world, a traveling carnival of celestial rot. I watched Samael do the work. He'd go after the people first. He'd twist and contort their bodies, inflicting pain that went beyond the physical, a deep-seated agony that clawed at their very being. Between the screams, Samael would preach. His voice was a booming baritone, oily as a used car salesman's grin. "Open your hearts," he'd bellow, while some person's body did a slow-motion dance of collapse. "Bask in the glory of Yahweh. Drink the medicine of his word, and the hurting stops." It was a protection racket, plain and simple. The oldest con in the cosmos. We saw it on 1,000 spheres, drifting like dust motes through the dark. If a world was doing fine on its own, if the people were happy, fed, and didn't have much use for a cosmic father figure, the old man took it personally. He'd send Samael in to stomp the garden into the mud. You create the wound, then you sell the bandage. You manufacture the dependency, until they're crawling through the dirt, begging to be saved from the very hand that's strangling them. Eventually, they always surrendered. They always took the glory. It's funny how fast a philosopher becomes a zealot when his whole world is crumbling. I sat there, the cold sweat beginning to dry on my neck, and felt a jagged little sliver of relief. My heart was thumping against my ribs like a trapped bird. If Samael had smelled the doubt on me, that sour, metallic scent of treason, I'd already be in the hot seat, waiting for the High Court to tear the light out of my eyes. But he hadn't looked back, not yet. As I found myself ensconced amid celestial beings, their praises reverberating through the hallowed halls, I felt an overwhelming sense of ennui. This eternal adulation, this ceaseless worship, it grated on my very soul. It was a torment, a personal hell that I longed to escape. While my fellow angels reveled in the ecstasy of devotion, I yearned for a reprieve. The monotonous routine of prostrating and singing stretched endlessly before me, a never-ending cycle of servitude. My inner turmoil festered, aching for a diversion, a new purpose beyond these sacred walls. I craved the thrill of a new mission, an opportunity to break free from this suffocating existence. The allure of serving as an angel of death for our revered father lost its appeal, the grim realization settling upon me that I was akin to a mortal assassin in divine guise. Even the respite of nightfall eluded me, the concept foreign on this celestial plane. Our world, bathed in the perpetual glow of 7 inner stars, and encircled by 5 ethereal blue orbs, knew no darkness. The sky above us painted in hues of radiant light, a constant reminder of our eternal vigil. Amidst the eternal chorus of heavenly voices, I found myself adrift, yearning for purpose beyond the confines of this celestial realm, the desire for something more. Something beyond mere adulation, gnawed at my very being, propelling me towards an unknown fate. The sycophantic chanting finally ebbed, leaving a ringing silence in my ears that felt like a physical weight. We spilled out of the royal palace, all marble and cold, divine geometry, and into the great hall. It sat at the Golden City's navel, a vast echoing ribcage of a place where Father stood on high to deliver his proclamations, his voice rolling over us like summer thunder. I couldn't take it. Not today. I slipped away, my boots silent on the pristine flagstones, seeking the only place where the air didn't feel like it had been breathed 1,000 times before, the Twilight Forest. It was a place of impossible, hallucinogenic beauty. A low-hanging mist crawled between the trunks, glowing with a soft, internal radiance. From the high branches, bead-like strings dangled to the loam, catching the light of the 12 suns until they looked like frozen drips of fire. The trees were ancient, gnarled titans. Their exposed roots arched over the path like the spines of buried monsters, towering well over my own 7.5-foot frame. I caught my reflection in a stagnant pool, and felt that familiar, heavy prickle of otherness. I was built like a siege engine, small-hipped, but thick with corded muscle through the legs and shoulders. My black hair a dark spill against my golden tan skin. We were a monochromatic lot, mostly. Black hair like mine, or the common straw yellow of the golden blondes. You didn't see brown. Red was for the women, a rare splash of blood in a field of wheat. My eyes stared back, golden yellow irises flaring out from needlepoint pupils. On other worlds, in thinner atmospheres, they'd turn a piercing, deceptive blue. But here they were the color of old brass. High cheekbones, hard angles, the face of a soldier in a kingdom of light. We were strong enough to heft 30 tons without breaking a sweat. But standing there, I felt brittle. I crossed a small footbridge, the wood groaning under my mass, and headed toward the sound of falling water. The sky was a pale, bruised aqua, and the clouds were feathered with a pink hue at their bellies, like a fresh wound. The waterfall tumbled into the lake, reflecting that radiant, terrible white light. It was beautiful. Sure, it was perfect. But perfection is just another kind of cage. It would be better, the whole damn Golden City would be better, if someone else were holding the reins. If Father weren't the one always talking. Or if, by some miracle, he actually opened his ears to hear what we were begging for. Unless, of course, the old man had forgotten how to listen at all. The twilight crept through the dense woods, a swirling tapestry of colors that whispered of hidden mysteries and forgotten sorrows. The air was thick with the scent of pine needles and the heady aroma of fresh roses, weaving a spell of enchantment over the ancient forest. For a few sweet minutes, I was just an angel alone in the silence. The others nothing more than fading voices back at the great hall. I felt good. I felt safe. In a story. That's always the moment. The floor drops out. The hand didn't just touch me. It clamped onto my shoulder, like a meat hook. It was huge, heavy with a weight that didn't belong to anything born of a woman.
I gasped, the sound a dry rattle in my throat. Down in my gut, panic began to sizzle, like a cluster of hot sparks on a dry rug. My muscles locked up, turning to cold iron, as I realized I was caught. Not just caught, overmastered. I turned, and my heart didn't just
skip. It tried to climb out of my chest. It was Samael, the big man's prosecutor, the Archangel of Vengeance, the guy who did the dirty work for Father. When Father didn't feel like being the good shepherd, I was being served. I was headed for a courtroom, where the verdict was written, before the bailiff even called the room to order. Death. The big empty. The world began to tilt and smear, the trees turning into long, dark streaks of charcoal. My head spun, a carousel of terror. Am I dying now? Right here, in the dirt? I didn't know. I only knew that I wasn't ready. I trembled, a deep, bone-rattling shudder that started in my soul and worked its way out. Please, I thought, the oldest prayer in the world. I don't want to go. I don't want to die.